It is Thursday, the 8th day of June 2023. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch on Hope TV, the station where you look and live. Tonight, we will be having a candid conversation on Kenya's state of economy amidst concerns on the Finance Bill 2023, and we will be joined live by Reuben Kigame, a man who needs little introduction as he has been vocal on many Kenyan issues for that discussion. But before that, let us take a look at the day's news. I'm Tess Njenga and our sign language interpreter is Elizabeth Wanjiku. Azimio Oka leader Raila Odinga is now calling on President William Ruto to withdraw the 2023 finance bill from Parliament and apologize to Kenyans. Speaking in Nairobi, Raila said the President Ruto should cancel the existing bill and start working on it again. Raila has raised various demands that he wants the government to consider in order to avoid tax increases that will affect the lives of Kenyans. The opposition Azimio coalition has continually vowed to oppose the vote on the bill and threatened to return to street protests if the government passes it. Our reporter Dolly Murigi now reports.
Azimio One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has listed 10 demands to President William Ruto amid the intense tension regarding the 2023 finance bill. Key among those demands is immediate withdrawal of the bill, which has divided public opinion.
Ask Ruto to humble himself, withdraw this bill, offer apology, and seek forgiveness from Kenyans for the anxiety caused. Then
Raila also warned the Kenya Kwanza administration against imposing punitive taxes on Kenyans, saying the move would adversely affect economic growth.
As this bill heads to the National Assembly, we must remind Ruto that excessive taxation is stifling growth. We must tell Ruto that when people have to park cars at home because of cost of fuel, it is bad for the economy. We must tell him that when Kenyans postpone traveling up country because they can't afford fuel or fare, it is bad for the economy. We must tell him that when people choose to stay indoors because they want to spend less on expensive goods, it is bad for the economy. And we must tell him that these things are happening now here in this country.
The opposition is further calling on the government to stop duplicating the duties and responsibilities of the counties and to adopt a baseless budgeting approach instead of burdening Kenyans. The Kenya Kwanza government has also been encouraged to live within its means by reducing the size of the budget. According to Azimio, this can be done by closing loopholes that cause loss of income, stopping unnecessary government spending, including the appointment of chief administrative secretaries, reducing the size of the government, and reducing unnecessary travel inside and outside the country. Dolly Murigi for Hope TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Dolly, for that report. Now, still on a similar note, the parliamentary proceedings on 2023 financial bill were expected to come to a close today. However, announcement of the final outcome has now been postponed to the 13th of this month. The financial bill is seeking to cut taxes from various sectors, thereby affecting the daily lives of Kenyan citizens. A cross-section of Kenyans say they believe that the bill will increase housing for those in the low-income sector, improve health facilities, and provide better business opportunities. Our reporter Joy Mochache went to Nairobi to get their views.
All eyes are on the members of parliament as they make the final big decision on the upcoming anticipated financial bill. We're now here in the streets of Nairobi waiting to hear the views and the opinions of our fellow citizens.
Mimi binafsi na minaunga mkono waweza kupitisha kwa bunge ili baadaye uchumi ya Kenya iweze kuwa mzuri kwa vile wakati huu dunia mzima sio Kenya peke yake ambaye wanapitia changamoto ya uchumi.
Mimi nilikuwa napenda wapitisha hata kama wanasema hiyo 3% naona iko sawa.
Apitishe sababu Wakenya usikii maneno waona. Wakenya usikii maneno. Tunataka tungi kwenye 500, sukari 500. sababu dhao si shida. Hiyo mswada tu ipite.
Financial bill ni mzuri kwa kuwa itasaidia watu, vijana wapate kazi kwa kujenga hizo manyumba, wenye kupeana matenda za misumari, rangi nini na nini, mafundi nini na nini. Ni kitu maana rais anapatia wananchi. Kwa hivyo wananchi wafai kupinga kitu kama hiyo. Hata kama tuko na changamoto za uchumi imekuwa kali, hiyo ni sababu ya hizi mambo ya COVID na hii mambo mengine.
Mr. Amos Mwako, mheshimiwa, ulifanya kampeni sana South B, ukasunguka, tukakuvotia, nilikuvotia. Tafadhali angusha huo mswada. Huo mswada ni wa kutufinyilia sisi wa Kenya wa kawaida, na ufikishe ujumbe kwa Rais Ruto. Mimi siwezi kumfikishia. Wakati alikampeni, alituambia ana kampenia hustler, bottom up. Akatuambia baada ya 100 days, after 100 days, unga itashuka itakuwa 100.
Wangeangusha tu juu wenyewe. Watu wako uduna pia wamesunda madoo, wanataka tu matumbo tu ndo waongeze. Tutajangori. Mimi kwanza ndajam sana, lakini ndaichukua tu juu ni yao ndo wanapanga maneno.
Education, hizo vitu zote zimeenda juu, gharama yote imeenda juu. So wakati tunaambiwa pato tunatafutiwa nyumba, tunashindwa ni nyumba tutanunua au kwanza tutasomesha watoto, tutawanunulia chakula au kutaenda namna gani?
What I know is that you cannot tell us that you are going to build houses because that's what they are saying, that is going to create job opportunity for the youths. Not all youths are masonry, and not all these buildings you are seeing in Nairobi, they were built by people. These were not aliens from heaven coming here to build these houses. These were people. And now they are telling us that they are going to create job opportunity. There are teachers outside here, those who are not being employed. There are doctors outside here. There are journalists outside here. So what are they going to do to create job for these journalists and doctors and these teachers? The hustlers we are talking about are we. We are the hustlers. We don't know if this is the government we are fighting for. And it has started, not even a term. A term has not even gone.
My name is Joy Mochache, reporting for Hope TV.
Well, much appreciated, Joy, for that report. And legislators have begun debating the controversial Finance Bill 2023, which is in its second reading amid stiff opposition by citizens, businesses, religious leaders, and opposition lawmakers. The bill has elicited mixed reactions from members of the public, with a majority expressing their disapproval, citing the struggling economy, especially to low-income residents who live from hand to mouth.
Hii bili ikipita itadhuru uchumi wa Wakenya. Hata yule mama mboga na bodaboda pia tayari anashindwa na petroli, mafuta taa na diesel, wanashindwa na chakula. Kwa hivyo hii bili ina madhara ya kiuchumi, ina madhara ya watu kula vizuri. 3 meals per day itakuwa haiwezekani kabisa mwenye familia kubwa kulisha familia yake kwa sababu ya hii bili imepita katika bunge.
Mheshimiwa Ruto na Rigathi, hii mswada huu ukipita na vile ambavyo walazimisha upite, basi kumbuka utakuja fukua makaburi sasa ya sisi wananchi, kwa sababu kule nyumbani mimi nina watoto 3 hawali, nikifika nyumbani watakuwa. Kwa hivyo sasa hivi wale masaidi wakimaliza shakala watembee kwenye vijiji, wajue kwamba huko nako kuna makaburi ya walala hoi.
Moving on, the Commission on Revenue Allocation has urged county governments to work in harmony with their respective county budget and economic forums to entrench budget transparency in devolved units. Many CBEFs in the previous county administrations were unable to deliver their mandates due to lack of goodwill from their county governments, with mistrust and suspicion cited as one of the major challenges that has affected the forums from being effective.
And now we are here. We are training CBF forums whose main purpose, it's outlined in the PFM Act 137, and they're supposed to provide a means of consultation by county governments in preparation for county plans, that's CIDP and ADP, county budget review and outlook paper, county fiscal and strategy paper, and on other matters relating to budgeting, economy, and financial management at county level. So as a CRA technical team, we are training all the CBF in 47 counties. This is the third CBF that we are training. They are ready. They've been gazetted. So we are here to train them and see how they can work closely with the county government and ensure that the county government leadership achieve their vision for the people of Taita Taveta County.
One of the challenges was capacity building and basically how to have an effective and a smooth running of the CBF. So having CRA come to train us, we hope that after this training we'll be an empowered citizen and basically an empowered CBF that will be able to exercise its mandate effectively. And basically, when we offer the means of consultation now between the county and the county government and the citizens, we'll make sure that there'll be effective and meaningful consultations that will be given, because now we will be relating at a point of information, and basically we'll be able to understand our roles and functions as envisioned in the PFM Act.
The Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecutions now says that it intends to call 35 witnesses into the inquest into the controversial death of the late Jeff Mwathi. Today, the state, through the investigating officer Clement Mwangi, told Milimani Senior Principal Magistrate Zainab Abdul that they will avail the witnesses on August 10th, 2023 during the inquest. Mwangi stated that two persons of interest, Christopher Wangome and Geoffrey Wanyigi, are also expected to testify during the inquest, when the file will officially be opened to the public. Lawyer Danstan Omari of Musyoki and Mogaka Advocates revealed that he will be acting pro bono for the family alongside 12 other lawyers from his law firm. He vowed that the family of late Mwathi will not allow the matter to rest until they get answers.
We hope that this process will finally shed light as to the culprits and the perpetrators, as to the unfortunate death of Jeff Mwathi. As the defense, we have our best foot forward, and we will do what is necessary to uncover who caused this untimely and unfortunate death of Jeff Mwathi.
His death in circumstances that looked suspicious. A first postmortem was done, the body was buried, the state swung into action, and a second postmortem had to be done. An exhumation order was issued. That was done. A file was constructed. The same file was forwarded to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. The Director of Public Prosecution has recommended that this matter, there is nobody directly involved with the murder or the death of one Jeff Mwathi, and therefore his recommendation is that the file be taken to a public inquest.
Nimewashukuru sana kabisa wa Kenya, especially hata wenye wako nje US na wenye wako Middle East. Wamekuwa pamoja na mimi kabisa, wamenitumia message, wameniongelesha, wamenipea courage. So nawarudishia shukrani sana na Mungu awabariki. Sasa tunajua tutapata justice ya mtoto wetu. Tumeumia, tumelia, tumehangaika, but tunaamini kuna Mungu juu mbinguni.
Well, just a reminder that we will be joined live by Reuben Kigame, who is an author and has just launched a book named Essays in African Christianity and Theology, to speak about the Kenyan affairs and the current economic state. That will be coming up in the course of this bulletin, so don't go too far.
Kama vile mashua baharini, mizani imekwisha wasili. mara hii kila Alhamisi.
Msoleta kabisa, mpenzi mtazamaji, mpenzi msikilizaji wa Mizani.
Tungependa Wakenya waende kwenye nchi ambazo tuko na mikataba nao.
Ulikuwa na Raila Odinga, ukawa na Wajakoya pia. Mbona hongeunga mkono?
Tupima uzani wa masuala ibuka na chupukayo kutoka kila pembe ya Kenya na ukanda huu wa Afrika. Yawe mambo au vijimambo, jiongea na kutaarifu na kuarifu zako fikra. Kila Alhamisi saa 1 machweo kwenye runinga ya Hope TV.
Nitamu.
Tukutane Mizani.
Because women talk more and they are not very strong physically, when they want to hurt their husbands or their children or anybody, they use the tongue.
Families under God.
How can we continue to live carelessly in ease?
Join Reverend Dr. Judy Mbugua as she imparts families through prayer, evangelism, and social transformation with the Word of God.
You know, God is not asking you to manage. He's asking you to be available. Amen. And He will make you able and capable.
Families under God, only on Hope TV.
Welcome back. Now, Kenya has today joined the rest of the world in marking the World Oceans Day, with the Marine Fisheries Institute and Research Institute researchers calling upon county governments that border the coastline to heighten war against ocean pollution to protect marine ecosystems. This call comes amidst concerns of continued sewerage waste discharge into the sea, as well as encroachment of the sea by developers, with the government agency terming it as another threat to marine life and ecosystems. Grace Ahati with more.
As Kenya today marked the World Oceans Day, environmental experts have mentioned plastic pollution as the biggest concern, despite the ban on single-use plastics on beaches, national parks, forests and conservation areas on June 5th, 2019. Speaking during the commemoration at the Mombasa Pirates Beach in Mombasa, Kemfree Director of Oceans and Coastal Systems and Blue Economy, Dr. James Mwaluma, said dumping of plastics into the sea is still a deadly threat to marine life.
Tumeangalia kwamba kuna a lot of plastic pollution ambayo tumekadiri kama 37,000 tons zinaingia kwenye bahari kila mwaka, na hizi plastics zinatoka kwa just human behavior ambayo tuna dump machupa, kama ni chupa za kunywa maji, kuna mambo ya sanitary pads, kuna mambo ya plastic bags ambazo tunazitupa.
Dr. Mwaluma further noted that devolved units should put up stringent laws and policies that prohibit untreated sewage waste discharge into the ocean, as well as full enforcement on the plastics ban. This comes even as Kemfree has embarked on recycling of plastics projects through Taka Connect application that monitors the number of plastics dumped at the sea. On his part, Kenya Fisheries Service Coastal Director Mwaka Barabara said oceans and seas have huge potential in creating job opportunities for fishermen through fishing. Barabara has now called for the war on illegal and unregulated fishing, which he says has affected the income of a majority of coastal fishermen.
Tuna maswala mengi kwa sababu kwanza tukiangalia kama sisi upande wa uvuvi tunakuwa na wale ambao hawatumii zile nyenzo ama ule uvuvi ambao unastahili, wanatumia uvuvi haramu. Kwa kizungu tunasema wanafanya ile IUU fishing, illegal, unreported and irregulated fishing. Hiyo zaidi ndio inaweza tukasema inachangia ukubwa kuharibu zile sehemu ambazo samaki wanazalia, zile sehemu ambazo samaki wanakaa ili tuweze kupata chakula.
Kenya's blue economy is estimated at 200 billion shillings annual revenue generation and directly impacting hundreds of Kenyans. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Thank you, Grace, for that report. Now to some unfortunate news. Police in Bungoma are investigating the death of 2 youth in the village of Sangalo in Kandui constituency. According to Bungoma County Deputy Police Commander Joseph Lokomon, A Sangalo College student committed suicide, leaving behind a note citing relationship conflict. In another incident, a girl allegedly traveled from Nairobi and committed suicide in their home. The police commander has urged people to seek counseling when in distress.
Hizi visa zote mbili zilifanyikia mahali moja, na moja wakati askari wetu wamefika pale wakagundua ya kwamba kulikuwa na mambo ya mapenzi, kwa mambo ya kijana, na wakapata ile suicide note kuonyesha what really happened. So na kwa issue ya msichana, ni mtu ambaye amekuwa na mazoea ya kujaribu kujitoa uhai. Nafikiri kwa sababu uchunguzi iko inaendelea, tutapata kujua zaidi ni nini ilifanyika.
And notable conservative Christian broadcaster and political activist Pat Robertson, widely known as the long-serving host of the popular Christian Broadcasting Network program, The 700 Club, has died aged 93 years. CBN News released a statement Thursday morning announcing Robertson's death. Robertson is survived by 4 children, 14 grandchildren, and 24 great-grandchildren. Pat Robertson dedicated his life to preaching the gospel, helping those in need, and educating the next generation. And on that sad note, we take a break on Newswatch tonight, but don't go too far. On the other side of this break, we will be having a candid conversation asking, is Kenya in an economic crisis? And joining us live in studio is none other than Reuben Kigame, who will be giving us his take on Kenya's state of the economy. Don't go too far.
Because women talk more and they are not very strong physically, when they want to hurt their husbands or their children or anybody, they use the tongue.
Families under God.
How can we continue to live carelessly in ease?
Join Reverend Dr. Judy Mbugua as she imparts families through prayer, evangelism, and social transformation with the Word of God.
You know, God is not asking you to manage. He's asking you to be available.
Amen.
And He will make you able and capable.
Families under God, only on Hope TV.
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
For me, God is real in Christianity. I talk to Him, He talks to me. I fail, He forgives me.
When I first read the first book of Genesis, it gave me an orderly sense of accounts of creation. Day 1 is what He does. Day 2, He creates this. Day 3.
Every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.
Thank you for watching Hope TV, the station where you look and live. For feedback regarding our programming, you can WhatsApp us through 0708 222 323, SMS 22232. Website www.hopemediakenya.org or scan the QR code below.
Because women talk more and they are not very strong physically, when they want to hurt their husbands or their children or anybody, they use the tongue.
Families under God.
How can we continue to live carelessly in ease?
Join Reverend Dr. Judy Mbugua as she imparts families through prayer, evangelism, and social transformation with the Word of God.
You know, God is not asking you to manage. He's asking you to be available. Amen. And He will make you able and capable.
Families under God, only on Hope TV.
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
For me, God is real in Christianity. I talk to Him, He talks to me. I fail, He forgives me.
When I first read the first book of Genesis, it gave me an orderly sense of accounts of creation. Day 1 is what He does. Day 2, He creates this. Day 3.
Every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.
Thank you for watching Hope TV, the station where you look and live. For feedback regarding our programming, you can WhatsApp us through 0708 222 323, SMS 22232, website www.hopemediakenya.org or scan the QR code below.
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
For me, God is real in Christianity. I talk to Him, He talks to me. I fail, He forgives me.
When I first read the first book of Genesis, it gave me an orderly sense of accounts of creation. Day 1 is what He does. Day 2, He creates this. Day 3.
Every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.
Welcome back, and as promised, we have in studio none other than Reuben Kigame, who is a man that wears many hats, and just this day he has launched a book. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Des.
Please tell us about a few hats that you wear.
Yeah, a lot of people know the music, but I'm also a teacher, actually trained teacher. I taught history, and I teach theology and apologetics and a bit of philosophy. But I'm also a social activist. I'm a journalist, broadcast journalist in particular.
Wow.
And then, of course, I'm an evangelist. I love evangelism. And hopefully I will be giving it again. I give a try to the presidency again.
Great.
Yes, and I also write. I write papers, I write songs, but I also write books.
And we will get into the book that you've just launched today because our main topic today is we're asking whether Kenya is really in an economic crisis. But before that, let's talk about the book.
Yes.
What inspired you to write the book? What is it about?
Now, this is a different kind of book. It's called Essays in African Christianity and Theology. So there are a lot of things that the church and the society has left undiscussed. And because of leaving them undiscussed, they keep cropping up without answers. So what I've done is contributed some well-thought and researched answers to different questions. For example, the question of conflict resolution. A lot of people are disagreeing. Some people are called conservatives, some are called liberals, whatever the case may be, even in the church. So the question is, how do you reconcile the different warring academic, economic, political situations? I've also talked about revival, because a lot of people don't understand what revival is, and everybody's talking about revival. So I've taken a very sharp look at revival as what we call the revitalization of Christianity. I've also engaged issues like LGBTQI, that a lot of people are talking about in shadows.
Yes.
Either they just have an emotional thing, hey, kila mtu, fukuza,
Yes.
But what does the Bible say? What does reason say? What does the law say? So the unique thing about this book is that it is evangelistic in a very unique way. Because I take on the ideological giants, the scholars, especially in the secular world, and engage with them on what they think about Christianity. So, for example, they have said Christianity is a white man's religion. And I engage that and I say, but the facts don't show that. Because Christianity was developed right here in Africa.
Yeah.
If you remember Simon of Cyrene, Cyrene is in Libya. He's the one who helped Jesus to carry the cross, you remember? If you remember the so-called Ethiopian eunuch, he was actually from Sudan.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we like to think Christianity is of the 19th century in Africa, but it was here actually shortly after the crucifixion of Christ. Yeah. And so I engage that. I engage the issues of racism and ethnicity and how the church should deal with it. There is a question, I don't know whether you've even thought about it. What do Christians think about Palestinians?
Good question.
You see, every time we elevate Israel as if everyone in Israel is a Christian. So being Israeli doesn't mean you're a Christian.
Yeah, we assume that they are Christians.
Now, so if we love Israel and hate the Palestinians, so I'm asking, when the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, so that whosoever believes in him. So nobody is exempted from salvation. I'm not saying that we therefore condone what the Palestinians are doing to the Israelis. I'm also asking, how can the Palestinians stop all this anti-Semitism? If you go to some Middle Eastern countries, Tess, the country Israel does not exist on the map. They hate Israel that much.
Wow.
And I'm asking the questions. How can you have a religion of hatred? So I want the scholars to answer me. And so I'm asking people like Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who say that Christianity is a Western religion. I'm asking them, is it because of the mistakes the colonial government did? Or are you equating the colonial government with the church? And then Christianity, according to them, came to Africa in the 19th century. No, but Christianity has been here before. So those are the questions I'm engaging, including issues of negritude, narrative culture, issues of how you name a church, and how important that naming. So when you call a church Fire International, for example.
I saw another one today.
Yeah.
It's called Bottom Up Ministry.
No, you're not serious.
I am serious.
Okay. I didn't discuss that. I've never heard of it. But so what do those names mean? So I go into what we call nomenclature, and that is what words mean. When you say Maximum Miracle Center, what happens to the other components of the gospel? Is it just miracles? So there are all these different things, but there's something very unique about today's launch, and it is this.
Please indulge
So
us.
this is the Braille version.
Wow.
You see these dots?
Wow. Yes,
Can
I
you,
do.
Can you read Braille? You need
No,
to, I'll teach
no.
you. So we have done, when you translate
Oh my
this
goodness.
book
Wow.
into Braille, and you get the dots there, we call it embossing.
Wow.
Okay? So, and I did this deliberately, one, because I read Braille myself.
That's
and
right.
everybody who's launching a book imagines we don't want to read as blind people.
Wow. That's a
I mean,
serious overlook.
people like Duale and so on,
oversight.
they launched a book.
Oh.
Did they think of the blind people reading that book?
No.
No. But if I'm blind myself and I don't put my books into Braille, then something is also wrong with me. We also need to explore other things like sign language and how material can be available.
But this is a challenge to others that
yes.
they need to be inclusive.
And let me be very specific. I want to challenge especially Christian authors. Do you really want blind people to read your books? You can write, all these 10 ways of being successful, 29 ways of being this and the other. For who? In other words, there are people who should read and others who shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I also challenge the government. I mean, I've heard you talk about the economic bill, the financial bill and so on.
Yeah.
Is it in Braille?
Good question.
So if we talk about public participation, hiyo ni kitu ya mdomo test na kuweka pesa huko na kukula, but nobody's really thinking about inclusive, being inclusive.
Yeah.
And one reason why I keep persisting on, fighting political battles is because we need to change the way we think about the people of Kenya. We need to specifically serve the youth with their own needs, serve the deaf with their needs, serve women, and serve children specifically with their areas of need.
Now that you've just touched on some of the economic issues,
yes,
you've been very vocal on many Kenyan issues, especially the finance bill 2023.
Yes,
and I just noticed a video you released yesterday, I believe.
The day before yesterday.
The day before yesterday, that Kenya's problem is not a financial one.
No,
but
not at all, Tess.
a trust deficit.
Yes.
Please expound.
Now, a trust deficit, when you have a financial deficit, it's that you need to raise a particular amount of money and you fall short. So a deficit is a shortage or a shortfall or a deficiency. It's a lack. So I'm basically saying we are arguing about what to do and how to do it without deciding what it is we are doing.
Expound.
So we are imagining that raising taxes or helping some people to have zero rating or whatever, do this on exports, do this on imports. We are imagining that will solve our economic problem. Actually, our economic problem is not getting money. Kenyans are paying a lot of money. If you can raise 2 trillion in terms of income, 2 trillion like this, it means you are a very wealthy country. Wealthy.
So you are saying that Kenya is a wealthy country?
Extremely. Not just, this is now what we are able to raise locally. If you can make 2 trillion, then it means the incomes is there. And because so many people are not paying taxes, all you need to do is make sure they pay. And how do you make more people pay taxes? It's not by increasing them. You decrease. If you lower taxes, ni kama hivi Tess. If you're earning 10,000, and I say you need to give me 7,000, because that's what our taxes are ending up to. About 60 to 70% of our economy is consumed by debt payment and things like that. Now, what we need to do is lower the taxes so that even those who earn little pay, but without feeling the pain or without feeling they're losing. But secondly, you need to stop the economic bleeding, what I call stop the economic hemorrhage. We are losing a lot of money. Our former president said about 2 billion per day. Per day.
Corruption.
2 billion.
Yeah. Oh
Now,
my goodness.
If you multiply 2 billion times 365 days in a year, you are talking about losing close to 700 billion. Just, yani pesa zimeingia lakini umepoteza. Now, if we can raise 2 trillion and we are losing 700 billion, it means we could have raised 2.7 trillion.
Yeah.
Now, what is the current budget shortfall? We want to raise 3.6 or so, but the shortfall is of about 800 billion. Now, if the 800 billion is the shortfall, it means that we are able to raise the 2.7 if we stop the economic bleeding and raise it without borrowing. You see, that's the first thing. But there's something else. Every time we borrow money, you know, the Eurobond, you know, all these collateral, the commercial loans we get from China, from, you know, first of all, the interest rates are high, usually 6 to 7%. But you could borrow from the traditional, you know, World Bank, you know, IMF kind of sourcing with maybe 1.5 to 2%. So why Uhuru and Ruto went into commercial loans, only God knows. Why? But the flip side of those particular loans is that each time you get like a Eurobond and so on, it's supposed to do projects. You don't see the projects. You don't see the completion of projects. And when they complete the projects, they're inflated, like the expressway, the SGR, and so on. But every time we borrow, some money disappears and it is hidden in offshore accounts. That's why I was talking about the need to return what is outside, which is nearly $1 trillion, another trillion. So what I'm trying to tell you, Tess, is that if we are able to raise 2 trillion and we lose about 700 billion that we could add on that, so you get 2.7, and then we lose another 1 trillion because it's hidden in offshore accounts, because it's stolen from us, it means that we could very easily raise 3.7 trillion without borrowing. That is my point.
Okay.
So why are we borrowing when we have the money? That's my first question. So
but the government says that it does not have money. You know, the government says it inherited empty coffers.
Okay, you know, Tessa, the problem is, the problem is that many Kenyans are able to think or to reason, and many Kenyans have unanswered questions. Ni vile tu tuko wapole. So, for example, how do you say you have no money and money keeps coming in every day? I mean, Treasury...
It has been said that our debt ceiling is so high, we are so indebted.
So the debt ceiling is something different?
In terms of we need to pay debt, and our expenditure is more than our revenue.
Ni hivi, you go right back to why is it we are careful in our houses and then become extravagant when it comes to other people's resources? You see, in your own house, there is no way you can go and buy a TV set and buy these, you know, woofers, you know, and then go and buy a shamba and so on when you are starving, when your children don't have food. Unaenda kununua stereo na TV when you can't buy food. That is how our government is behaving. So nobody is saying that houses are bad. No. But we are saying, what is the point of building houses when you can't eat? And you know, they think that when we say Kenyans are hungry, we are joking. People are dying, Tess. And the blood of these people will be upon this government's hands. You know, it sounds like very hard, complicated things. But if you make policies that kill Kenyans, you're a murderer.
So do you think that Finance Bill 2023 should not sail through, even though, remember that Kenya Kwanza legislators, in terms of numbers, are, if that is what we use, we could say that it has a high chance of going through. What's your take?
Okay, two questions again. So I'm not saying the finance bill should not sail through. I'm saying it should not sail through the way it is. So amendments need to be made, corrections, because there is a finance bill every year. So that's not an issue. The issue is, why are they introducing all these measures that are going to kill the Kenyan, and they're introducing them all at the same time when the economy is depressed? So how do you tighten the rope when it is at my neck?
Good question.
It doesn't make sense whatsoever. And this is what I'm trying to tell the president over and over again. See ati namchukia? No. I'm just telling him, think like a human being. Think like one of us. Think like a Christian. That's all I'm telling him. Because when it comes to the estimates, and you know, first of all, why are we having budget projections up to about 3.6 trillion? Why not make a budget of living within our means? Why hurry for the mega projects wakati hakuna chakula? These are the things. Now, on the issue of it passing through Parliament, first of all, there are three problems. First of all, we don't have a Parliament.
What do you mean?
I mean that what we have are what we call an appendage. You know, you have extensions of State House.
Oh my.
Yeah. What you have
That's
is...
a serious...
No. It's true because, in fact, what they are saying, it will pass anyway.
Because these people were elected into power. Were they not elected?
I wish I could define for you what an election is. And by the way, they can actually be elected in power. What they do with that power, delegated power, is something else. Now, but where is the abuse coming? It's not from Parliament to State House. It is from State House to Parliament. In other words, by the time the president is threatening, tunataka kuona wale watapinga. Okay? Now, where we have reached at that point is that Parliament will only do what State House or the executive wants. Is that what we voted for? Is that what we want? Is that constitutional? Absolutely not.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm saying, by the time you have do this or else, at home we say daddy ni dictator. In church we say pastor ni dictator. In the company we say huyo ni dictator, huyo manager. In State House we say he's a patriot, he's a one, somebody thinking about the bottom up. I don't understand how gullible we can be. And I'm just saying, as a human being, as a Christian, and as a Kenyan, this particular government is going the wrong direction. And I gave the example of the Titanic, where you say, tutafanya tu, tutaenda, whether the waves are bad. In fact, the captain of the Titanic said, even God in heaven cannot sink this ship. That's the analogy I was giving. You can't force anything on people. And you can't force, like, you remember the Kenya Airways flight that crashed in Douala? Why did they crash, Tess? Do you know why? The pilots were quarreling.
Oh, no.
Yes. They were quarreling. One was saying we should fly. The other was saying, no, but the weather is so bad.
So what's your take in a nutshell? What are you saying the government needs to do?
The waves are bad. The skies are bad. The country is volatile. People are crying. People are hungry. People's children are at home. Tests. The youth in hostels are starving. You have paid the fees, but they are not able to eat. Oh, have you ever heard the phrase now that is being used, kuinama? Kuinama means you're so down and finished that instead of waking up to go to class, you sleep so that you hide the pangs of hunger.
Oh,
now that's what is
unfortunate.
happening to our youth. And we're basically saying, weka tax, toa
But
help.
the president is saying that the housing will create so many job opportunities, employment for the youth,
Yeah.
which will in turn put money in their pockets, and they will also become taxpayers.
So and you know that the difference between someone who studies botany and zoology and someone who studies philosophy is this, that for philosophy, you have to assess even what you have just said. So you have interns here at Hope Media, for example, that are trained in journalism. Is the president saying that they will go and build houses? Those are the law students that are finishing. The president wants them to go and what is the relationship between mortar and screws and bolts and legal justice?
Well, good
What is
question.
it?
Even as we
What is it
wind
I
up,
don't get? Ni nini sielewi?
so many things to ponder on right there.
Yeah, so we're not saying that the housing project is bad. And, you know, the CS Hinga, with all due respect, the fact that you have studied economics or finance or whatever does not mean that you understand people. There is a total disconnect. You know, have you ever heard, if I told you that's a bark, you know, you could think it's the peeling of a tree, or you could say it's the sound of a dog.
Yeah.
So the citizens are saying this is a peeling of a tree. Hinga may be saying that's the sound of a dog, but the same word. And that is not good. We have to calm down. You see, if everywhere people are saying ngoja kwanza, wait. And you just say, ni sisi ndio experts tunaelewa.
Somebody needs to
Okay,
listen.
so just go on. We'll see where you reach. That's where I'd say, tutaona basi. Because what do I pay? How do I even pay the 3% when I cannot take my children to school and I can't eat? Why would you take the 3% that I'm using to eat?
Well, many questions actually around that.
If you want us to go into the housing bill, I have more questions than...
That's right.
Yes.
And not just you, so many Kenyans are raising
Nikuulize
those
swali.
questions.
Mi niko na nyumba. Okay?
Yeah.
Why would I pay? And they say it's so that somebody else can have a house. But to do that, I and my employer, we need to raise for how many years?
7.
If you raised 3% in 7 years, will you be able to build a house? You can't. You can't test.
So do you think there needs to be people need to be sensitized to understand what this means, and then there needs to be amendments to this bill?
No. My emphasis remains, let's go back to the drawing board. Why do we have to raise more money when we have enough money? I'm arguing we have enough. In other words, kama dad akona 500,000 kwa account, why are we going to borrow money to buy food? Na dad kila jioni anaenda kukunywa na kulewa.
So there is a mismanagement of resources?
We will say, stop drinking, ama we negotiate, reduce drinking so that we can have food. But you can't borrow in order to have food when you have money to buy the food.
Well, on another controversial subject, even as we wind up, on the Shakahola massacre that has shocked the world, what do you think about churches being regulated, regulation of religion? What's your take?
My take is 1 Corinthians 6 says that we as believers will judge angels. And it asks, so can't you settle your own matters? Why do you have to even go as far as the secular courts and so on? Don't you have wise men among you? We have a lot of wonderful PhDs, counseling psychologists. We have all these specialists, even conflict resolution guys in church. So my preferred approach would be, let the churches put up a body, like a union of the Catholic bishops, a conference of Catholic bishops, EAK, and NCCK. Let them come together and put up like a body that vets the registration and deregistration of churches. I was calling it like the Kenya Registration Regulatory Authority or something like that, KRRA. Now, that body, before the government stamps and says, yes, you can go ahead, should assess, say, who is this that is starting a church? Do they have the capacity to do so? What is the doctrine that they're going to be teaching? What else are they going to be doing? Will they start TV? Will they publish, materials and distribute? So that you already have the data. That we don't have to go to the government. Let the Christians come together, form that body. And then they will, before the government also deregisters, so they take a group that is messing up to them, they assess, they warn them maybe twice. If they persist, then they recommend deregistration. That is how things should work. Now, failure to put up such a regulatory body as Christians, if you don't put it up, then I will support the government regulating, because regulation must happen. There is no way we can continue to have pastors and bishops and evangelists and apostles telling our children education is demonic. Telling people going to hospital to be treated is a sin or is a lack of faith, and so on. Telling people stop your medication, or sell all your belongings and come here and wait for God. The man of God will tell you. And I'm saying that what has happened in Shakahola Test is not just it's not a mistake of the church. It's a societal mistake. Why? Let me give you 3 levels.
In a shortly.
Okay. So one is the Communications Authority. They regulate, even media, I hope media is regulated.
Yes, it is.
So the issue is, why haven't they regulated what was going on there? 2, we have banks. When you take 100,000 tests and bank, the bank will ask, so where is the source? If you make it 500,000 or 1 million, they will even ask you, show the proof. Now, you go and bank 20 million and nobody asks you?
Someone slept on their job.
Yes. And then the lawyers. The third level is the lawyers. If land is being passed from a member of a church to a pastor, they are land documents. Why is it that the lawyers are not able to flag the abuse of property rights? Even before you get to the church, some people are sleeping on the job.
Yeah. And we hope that someone will wake up these people that need to take up their responsibility so that this never happens again.
Yes, and especially for Kenyans to be vigilant and to have the spirit of discernment. John says in 1 John 4, test the spirits to see if they are from God. Don't just rush to join somebody because they wear a collar or call themselves man of God.
So just give us your parting shot. Tell us where we can get your book, even as we congratulate you.
Thank you very much. Certainly, you can get me online because it's just come out, and we'll be trying to get it to the bookshops as quickly as possible, like at All Saints Cathedral Bookshop, Keswick Bookshop, and other Christian bookshops. But you can call a very easy number and order, and it will be delivered. It's a 0720-229999, 0720-229999, and the book will be delivered to your doorstep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any parting shot to Kenyans?
I love you, Kenyans. I love you with the love of Christ. And let us seek the Lord while he may be found. Let us be careful not to be bought by deception. And lastly, these are difficult days. Two things must happen. One, let us learn to share the little we have, but also let us learn to pray. And don't wait for someone to pray for you. Learn to pray yourself. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reuben Kigame, a renowned social activist, author, many hats indeed that he wears. And thank you so much for honoring us with your presence on a very special day for you when you have launched this book. We really appreciate you. And that's where we conclude our conversation tonight. We take another short break. We'll be back with sports news.
Because women talk more and they are not very strong physically, when they want to hurt their husbands or their children or anybody, they use the tongue.
Families under God.
How can we continue to live carelessly in ease?
Join Reverend Dr. Judy Mbugua as she imparts families through prayer, evangelism, and social transformation with the Word of God.
You know, God is not asking you to manage. He's asking you to be available. Amen. And he will make you able and capable.
Families under God, only on Hope TV.
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
For me, God is real in Christianity. I talk to him, he talks to me. I fail, he forgives me.
When I first read the first book of Genesis, it gave me an orderly sense of accounts of creation. Day 1 is what he does. Day 2, he creates this. Day 3.
Every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.